Well, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Okay, let's give everybody a second to get on. I'm gonna just grab my pad and a pen. Give me 1 sec. We're
Sure.
gonna start in like 2-3 minutes. I'm gonna try to
All
see if
right.
anybody else joins us.
I'll be standing by.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna start. Andrew, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay, you wanna go first?
Sure,
Actually, I don't
absolutely.
really just check. Oh, yeah, and I think we have some people as well. Hold on 1 second.
All
You
right.
just sent me. Okay, beautiful. Okay, very good. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Toby, thanks everyone for having me. My name's Andrew Ridgey. I run a group called the New York City Hospitality Alliance. We represent restaurants, bars, and nightclubs in the 5 boroughs. And thanks for inviting me. I just asking, I guess, to speak about the state of the city's hospitality industry. I'll provide a quick update, just some of the issues I'd say are most kind of front and center in the
Oh, can you hold on 1 second? I actually see. Hold on 1 second. I see. Arvin, are you on the call from Council Member Resto's office?
There. Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
yeah. So I know. I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you want to speak for a few minutes? I know you were short of time, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Andrew.
No, it's okay.
I heard Andrew speaking. I have until 6:30, and I just sent an email over to the BKO1 email, so I
Andrew, do
can
you
wait
have
a
a
few
few
minutes.
minutes for Arvin to speak, and then we'll go to you in like 10 minutes? Is
Yeah,
that okay?
just a reminder, I also,
Yeah.
I told you, that's fine. I just have a hard stop at 6:30 for
No,
my,
so then you continue. Then go ahead. Sorry about that, Andrew. Go ahead. Yeah.
you sure?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because Arvin's
Okay,
already sent us testimony. If not, yeah. Go ahead.
okay, so yeah, representing, the industry, kind of giving you a quick update on some of the issues that are front and center for a lot of people, and happy to answer any questions or provide any insight I can. So, first things I'd say, if you operate a restaurant or a bar in the city, there's still a long road to recovery, but we're in such a better place than we were. I'd say we're cautiously optimistic. I think eating, drinking, socializing is just in the DNA of our city and in the DNA of people. So when we've been told to be socially distant for so long, people really want to socialize and come together. And thankfully, they're going out and they're supporting so many of our businesses. But, a busy restaurant today doesn't make up for the economic devastation and also the emotional devastation that people that own these small businesses and work in these businesses have gone through. So while we're cautiously optimistic, because remember last summer we thought things were getting better and then Delta variant hit. And then we finally thought things were getting better again going into the holiday season this past year, and then Omicron hit. But it does seem that people are more willing behavior wise to go out and be indoors together, and for the better or worse, trying to go on and live their life to the best of their ability, recognizing the current situation, and spending money. Um, but there's also some things, based on where your business is located. And obviously, every neighborhood's a little bit different, but some restaurants that were fortunate enough to get the federal Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant, which was a federal program, which was excellent, mind you, are in a much better place than the 65% of restaurants in New York that got shut out of it when the money was quickly exhausted. This was a grant that helped pay for payroll, back rent, food costs, all this debt that these businesses have, piled up on their shoulders over the past 2 years. It really helped them kind of have a clean financial slate and be on stronger footing going forward. Unfortunately,
Andrew,
Yep.
like what percentage of New York restaurants got the money?
Well, 65% of restaurants that applied did not. So there's many thousands and thousands that did not receive it. I don't have it down in front of me broken down by borough, but I could probably send it to you. So those businesses, unfortunately, have been unable to pay back all their back rent in many cases. They're unable to pay the higher food costs. We all know what's going on with inflation, and that's hit everybody, particularly hard in the restaurant industry. Labor costs have gone up. So businesses that receive that money are able to pay a little bit more, which is really tough in the current workforce market, where the city's restaurants and bars are still, I think, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 jobs short compared to pre-pandemic employment levels. So not every, but if you speak with many restaurant bar owners, they'll tell you they're still operating significantly short-staffed, and that poses its own, slate of challenges. But like I said, people are going out, they're spending money for the most part, so we're cautiously optimistic. Unfortunately, the federal government 2 weeks ago failed to replenish the restaurant revitalization fund. It passed the House of Representatives, but there are not enough Republican votes in the U.S. Senate to pass it. So it's really unfortunate and devastating for many businesses. The EIDL funding, which is the Emergency Disaster Relief loans, not grants, from the federal government has been exhausted as well. So I know some businesses that have tried to get these low interest, long-term loans, and now they're unable to. So I don't think there's going to be much relief coming from the federal government for businesses that still very much need it. On a state level, there are some return to work tax credits for restaurants who hire people. Unfortunately, they're having difficulty hiring people. There are some policies like the drinks to go that was brought back, some grants, but unfortunately, nothing that's going to save businesses that are desperately on the edge, but some good policies that will really, really help them, come back. On the city, there's been some good announcements reducing fines. As you probably know, if you're dealing with small businesses, for too long, the city's treated our small businesses like an ATM, fines millions and millions of dollars, often for minor violations. We've been advocating for more cure periods and warnings before a fine is levied on a small business owner. Essentially, an inspector can go into a business, point out a violation, explain why it's a violation, give the business an opportunity to cure it, fix it before a fine is issued for violations that don't pose an immediate hazard to the public or to workers. This council, this administration seem very supportive of that. We're trying to, well, not in your district, there's something called the commercial rent tax, which is big. We're trying to get modified. But I think a lot of businesses are also looking at the outdoor dining, which saved thousands of businesses throughout the city, so many jobs. I think we really need to think hard about how we transition from a temporary emergency program that was stood up quickly in a crisis, that evolved through a crisis, to how do you transition to something that's standardized, sustainable, takes what works, addresses the concerns of not only business owners, but residents and all the different uses of the streets and sidewalks, when we're thinking long term. Looking into developing a business portal that helps
But
business.
can I ask a question just to
Sure.
excuse the ignorance? Is the sidewalk use permanent? Like I got, yeah, I understood there was some kind of Euler proposed.
So the current program you see on the sidewalk and in the roadway area is still operating under the temporary emergency program. The aim of the city is to develop permanent guidelines that would differ from the temporary emergency program to make it more standardized, more sustainable. It did go through the text amendment, which was approved. You may or may not know there was a lawsuit that was filed. So that's still going through the court system. But the ultimate goal is to create a more standardized, sustainable program that will allow for sidewalk cafes, similar to what you probably remember pre-pandemic to look like, but to be allowed in more areas. They were really restricted location-wise under the zoning, and that would also allow for roadway seating, but a different version than what you currently see now in the roadway. So that's a long way of saying we're still under the temporary emergency program, and I guess this year the city's really aiming to develop the permanent guidelines which restaurants could then apply and transition into.
Very, very, very helpful. Okay.
And, just being, aware, it was very difficult to run a successful restaurant before the pandemic. It's been an absolutely devastating 2 years for the industry. Thankfully, people are out, as I said before, eating, drinking, socializing, businesses coming back. Some places closer, if not to pre-pandemic employment levels. Business revenue levels. But the cost of business, just like many people probably see it in their own expenses, everything's gone up. So even if your top line is at the same or better, the bottom line expenses, have continued to go up. So cautiously optimistic. And I've been saying from the beginning, we really need our city's restaurant, nightlife, cultural institutions to be at the core of the city's recovery because it's what makes us so special, such a strong city, and provides opportunity for so many people. So it's kind of a high level overview of what's going on, and happy to kind of answer any questions or give any additional insights into any of those issues or anything else.
Sure. I'm just curious, and obviously people can also ask. Do you have any data on the the number of restaurants that have closed, and are there even restaurants opening now, or is it just on a total moratorium?
Sure. So unfortunately, there's no accurate data on the number of closures. The reason is that the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, the agency that licenses eating and drinking establishments, automatically renewed permits during the pandemic. And until they go through a whole full cycle and, people physically, inspectors go to each location, they won't know every place that's closed. There's estimates that a couple thousand locations have shuttered. Places are definitely opening. What I always say, one person's crisis can become someone else's opportunity, where there were a lot of restaurants that shut. So you had fully built out vacant restaurants, and there was maybe a 6-month period in particular when many landlords were looking to make deals. So you could snatch up, a restaurant that was fully built out for a good terms. I think the commercial real estate market, as in the residential market, are really starting to come back. But I think a lot of people took opportunity to open up new places, but there's still, depending on the neighborhood, a lot of vacancies. And I think we'll probably see another round of closures over the next year or so of those businesses that were unable to secure the federal relief because the money was exhausted and it looks like it's not being replenished.
Okay, very helpful. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No. So I wanted to also suggest you, Andrew, if we would love to help push out, like if you have an email blast about membership in your organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'd love, you could send it to me. We could send it out through the community board.
Okay, great.
And really help spread the word and really try to grow membership. So I think
Yeah, thanks so much. And listen, if there's anything that we can help do, I know sometimes restaurant owner may come to the board, your committee, and they have questions about some regulatory issue or anything. Please feel free to use us as a resource as well to send them there. If we can give them an answer on the spot, we will, or we can try to connect them with someone and really just support them however we can.
Okay, appreciate that. I see
Great.
Tony and Gina are on the call. Guys, have any questions or thoughts? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having
So,
me. Have a nice
Arvin,
evening.
I see you're still on. If you have a couple minutes, would love to hear from you on, I think
I've got
yeah,
8
go ahead.
minutes, so I
Yeah,
could
go
go
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
quickly. Basically, I forwarded the industrial policy letter to the community board
Yeah.
earlier last week. And it was developed first in response to Councilmember Aviles' concerns about industrial land use policy in Red Hook. But the city council members with a lot of manufacturing in Brooklyn, the borough president, and community board 6 and 7 came together to draft a letter to the administration to convene an industrial working group with stakeholders, elected officials, to really take a harder look and a more comprehensive look at the land use and transportation, economic and workforce development plan that the administration released earlier this year, mainly with a harder look at the IBZs for industrial jobs, the green supply chain, energy grid, and any of the new challenges posed by the last mile distribution facilities that are popping up in Red Hook and parts of Community Board 1, Greenpoint, Williamsburg, etc. So I forwarded the letter to the community board's account, and we would love community board 1's participation in the industrial working group.
Now,
Our
did
office-
I don't know if Jerry responded, but we'd love to have you come to the next community board meeting and present it. We don't have a quorum right now.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have actually send it around to the members and have them look at it, but I believe the next community board meeting is on the 7th. Are you
Right.
available that evening?
Let me check quickly. What time at the 7th?
It's
On the 7th, rather.
hold on. It starts at 6, but what I would do is I'll have Jerry send around details on how to sign up and what
Okay.
what logistics are, because I think it'll be very helpful for you to speak in front of the whole community board. And then we
I
can
will
see if we could, yeah, it means in the meantime, I'll send out the
Yeah.
copy of the letter and then we can, hopefully put forth a resolution on behalf of the whole community board
Sure thing.
to come out and support.
Sure thing. So
I have- Oh, sorry, Kobe. I just wanted to ask a question. What was
Go
the
ahead,
letter
yeah.
about again? I'm sorry, because he mentioned IBZ zone. What is it about
So
specifically?
this is about the industrial working group that the administration, or we're urging the administration to form the industrial working group around IBZs and kind of industrial jobs in Brooklyn as part of the administration's commitment to really reform our city's industrial areas in the land use and zoning context. It's all written out in the letter. I don't want to, just rattle off on it. So definitely when you have time to take a look at it, review it, we think it's a great initiative. Community Board 6 and 7 signed on, as well as council
you-
members Vilas, Gutierrez.
I'm sorry, it's about preserving the IBZ zone. Is that
Partial, I mean,
it's about
definitely for
preserving the
sure.
creative jobs, right? If
Yeah,
you
creating industrial jobs,
Yes.
really making use of the IBZs.
And then
whatnot.
I think we should add in there, what are we doing to protect these zones, these areas?
Yeah.
That's
And
something.
I think, Gina, you should read it. You should read it because they actually talk about, like, for example, the last mile use is a really bad, I mean, obviously we need distribution, but it's a very low job density. So my understanding is that the overall idea is that there should be a comprehensive study on the various uses and the various jobs. There's TV and film production. There's some
Exactly. But
offices moving in, but
preserving, but
yeah.
Toby, we also need something about preserving these areas, because they're trying to put forth certain things that are going to open spaces and bike lanes.
Understood.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
they're going to push these businesses out. So how
Exactly.
can we create
Yeah,
these jobs if we can't preserve the area?
Yeah. And I think, thinking about in very specific neighborhoods, the dynamic of what else is around it. Like, for example, in parts of Bushwick, very close to the Bushwick houses, and then there are trucks going on the sidewalk. So there just has to be there's flexibility and efforts to support industrial businesses, but also, structure around what needs to happen, what are the appropriate uses, etc.
Exactly. Tony, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, we feel that the city agencies are not reaching out to the IBZ industrial tenants and business owners in the areas. And for instance, the DOT is proposing putting bicycle lanes right now on Mater Street and Kingsland and the Greenpoint area without any outreach to 17 heavy industrial tenants that exist on the sites. No outreach at all. I mean, the city policies are really so anti-IBZ. There's no reaching out to us to try to discuss these things before they impose them. So I want to know how we can get these city agencies, to reach out to the businesses so we could have some input on this.
I would definitely say that the industrial working group, which we hope the administration forms, and our letter encourages this, brings key stakeholders such as IBZ representatives, business owners, property owners, and IBZs, and make sure their voices are heard in forward-looking manufacturing land use policy.
Yeah, Arvin, we'd love to, get some info on this and sign on with you on this, because we feel like, right now the city has no outreach to us.
And what I'll do is I'll send around the letter, and Tony, we were going to ask Arvin to come back to present to the whole community board, which I think is a very critical part. And then we could do it now. But are you guys on the committee? Gina, are you a member of this committee?
No, I just signed
Because
up.
I get it's basically just me. Nobody shows up.
Well, I could
But
support.
yeah.
I mean, I'm on the board, so.
Yeah, no, but it's, you know, it's an interesting, you know, element, but that's why I'm
But
bringing
your
it to the whole
committee-
board. Yeah.
But people that are in your committee should have been here because they work with this group, no?
Nobody, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
that's, okay, so we're gonna have, that's why, in order to bring attention here, we're gonna bring this to the full committee. Now, so there was, Arvin, is there anything else you want to add before you go? Because I know you have till 6:30 stop.
Yeah, I just, I looked at my schedule. I might not be able to show up to the full board meeting. If you need
Yeah, but
any more
if not,
information.
I think it's important, we could do the following, you know,
Yeah,
I could try to
exactly.
figure out the mechanisms for us putting forth a letter, but I think
Yeah.
because we don't get a quorum at our committee, you really need to come to the full committee
Right,
meeting, community board
yeah.
meeting. But we could
Okay,
also
so why
have,
don't you send me-
some, yeah,
Why don't you send me some information about the meeting, maybe some
I'll do that.
timing, etc. We'll see what we can do.
okay.
All right, I have to hop. I really
No
appreciate
problem, thank you.
everything.
Now,
Please
thank you
circulate the
so
letter.
much. Now,
We'd love
we
to
do
get your contact info, Arvin, so we
All right.
can reach out
I
to you.
just, Tony, I just forwarded it to you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. So you got my email? Feel free
And-
to ping me.
Your email address, Tony.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, I
Thank
have
you
it,
all.
Toby. It's in my email. I have it.
Cool. Thank you all.
Okay, I just, Gina, I just sent it. Tony, what's your email? Tony, it's Tony at.
You know, they have it somewhere. Ask Monica, she has my email.
Just send it to me, Toby.
Okay, no problem. I just sent it right now.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Do we have anybody on now from Babar? I think they didn't make it. Anybody on from Babar?
That's Ryan, no? Wouldn't she be on there?
Yeah, I see Monica. That's your Monica. I see Mit Kumarasmi. No, I don't think they made it. Okay, so unfortunately, Jerry, is that you there? Are you the one running the show? Whoever the host is, I want to just.
Yes, that's me. I was just forwarding the board meeting notice to Arvon.
Arvon, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so if we could, if you could just let him know how to go about signing up. If it's not this one, then it's next.
sure.
And I'll put some details anyhow in my report.
And I sent this letter to your committee, and I also sent it to Gina.
But we also need, Jerry, we need some help in getting people to actually participate. So there
Yeah,
are a lot of important topics I want to cover. I mean, but there's no, you know, and thank you, Gina and Tony, for coming on. Okay, very good. So we're gonna call the meeting, which I am a single participant in, as a committee meeting to order, you know, to a close, and hopefully we're gonna get more people participating in the future. And I'll follow up on this point. So thank you all for your time. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments?
You want to say anything?
No, I
Anybody
thank
have any to
I,
add?
ju- I just think that, you know, as the economic committee, we need to do more to preserve these businesses that we have here in Greenpoint. Right? We need to really make more of an effort.
Yeah, Toby, I think there should be more outreach to like industrial businesses in the IBIZ zone to really see what, you know, what kind of help they need, because we're
Yeah.
all,
But I think what we might be, it might be interesting to have, to do a separate meeting that we could promote just around this topic. So I'll talk to Jerry about that.
yeah, because we've
yeah.
been brutalized for the last 8 years under the
So I'm gonna be in touch, even though you're not
Yeah.
on the committee. If you don't mind helping me pull that together, that would be great.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, Billy's Locksmith that's been here over 50 years, they want to like make his, in front of his store an open space. How's
That's
he going to
great.
conduct business?
Great.
How's he going to get deliveries? It just doesn't make any sense.
Crazy, yeah. So I'm gonna reach out to both of you, and let's put together an agenda, and then try to have some, you know, get more participation, and maybe even do it in person if we're allowed to do that.
Mhm.
Jerry, are we allowed to meet in person?
we're waiting to hear what the governor announces on the 9th.
Very good. Thank you.
A
So I'm
lot
gonna
of,
get-
a lot of these issues require us really to bring in the elected officials, because DOT
Exactly.
has
Yeah.
this attitude.
But I think
And
maybe to get them to come.
DOT has an attitude that they're gonna do it. And, you know, I constantly have discussions with Eric Berzaitis over this, because I try to explain to him that if they're coming to us and dictating to us a policy, then we shouldn't be voting on this. We shouldn't have our fingerprints on it. We should just make sure the public knows, and if we have to oppose it, we should oppose it.
Exactly.
I
Okay,
mean,
very,
I mean, the DOT's operating as business as usual in the last 8 years, anti-business policies that they've had. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Anti-business, and they don't want anybody to own a car.
You know, I know, Jerry. Thank you.
So I'm going to be in touch with both of you, and we'll see if we could I'll start an email thread to see if we could schedule a follow-up on this topic. And I look forward to also meeting with
Do a
constituents.
census. They should
What?
do a for businesses. They did a census for voting. Why don't they do a census for businesses and their
Yeah. Yeah, and we could try to get people from the EDC involved too. So
exactly.
we'll talk further. Okay, thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tony.